Good afternoon, good evening, or good morning. I am here in a makeshift office for the last couple of these lectures to give you guys I guess not really a makeshift office, it is an office in construction, you might say, to give you guys a few resources here. It's also where the last couple lectures are going to be given. I just thought I'd go over a few resources that I've used in this class, and then a few resources, or a few books that I've read in the last few months that I thought you guys might, or covered in the last few months, you guys might find interesting or helpful, just to give you an idea of some of the background information and resources used in this class. And also, if anybody finds any of these interesting, it gives, or any of these topics interesting, yeah. So basically, real quick here, this is our textbook. You guys all have purchased that. If you have not, please do so immediately. Okay? So please purchase this immediately. There's also a guidebook you can purchase if you'd like. Now, I've chosen a textbook that was very inexpensive and also will cover the entirety of American history, or the United States history 1 and 2. Another book that you are required to buy is this, The Churching of America. This is one of the best books that discusses the American church throughout our nation's history. Its title is literally Winners and Losers in Our Religious Economy, and it discusses that in great depth. I'm working on my PhD in this topic, combining history and sociology and psychology and religion, and understanding the interaction of those beliefs. And so I tend to do a lot of research on that, and you will find that comes out in my lectures. I hope it provides a new spice or flavor from their traditional names and dates method of memorization. But yeah, this is an excellent resource. It discusses all of the major church groups and their growth: Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, the Catholic Church, etc. Anybody who's going to be a pastor should read this book. Okay? Anybody who's going to be a historian should read this book. And anybody who's interested in religion in America, period, should read this book. It's a go-to resource. This book here, Albion Seed. Okay? You guys all have purchased this book as well. Now, you will notice that when I have the questions, I did not assign you to read the entire book. Be thankful. It's 946 pages long. Fascinating book. But I tried to summarize and synthesize it down to bite-sized chunks for you to cover the information you needed in this class. Alright? I have covered most of that book, read most of that book, and went through that material myself, but I did not require you to do that. So just be thankful for that. If it may seem like a lot of reading to you, that it could have been far more. This book here, Jerry Newcomb, The Book That Made America, you are required to read this book. I believe it's chapters 1 through 10, and then like an appendix. So I took out two chapters there that were less historical and more modern focused. But this book is a book report, and you are required to read this. It is vital that you do so. America was built on a biblical foundation, and this is one resource that I used for you guys to do it. It's a phenomenal book. I read it one afternoon and just couldn't put it down. I was sitting in an office. I actually read it on a Kindle version and then picked up the hardback version as well. But I was sitting in an office just waiting for a driver's license office, actually, and I just couldn't put the book down. I was just flipping through rapidly. It's just so brilliant. I actually finished the entire book sitting there that afternoon just waiting. It was so brilliant. So a very fascinating book. Another book that you guys are required most of the information in this class, I tried to limit the amount of books you guys are required to purchase. Most of the information in this class, or a good deal of the information, let me phrase that, I have uploaded and scanned it using what's called fair use policy through copyright law. So I just want to make you aware I did research and follow the exact copyright laws, etc. And in that, you are allowed to use academic resources for schools as long as it's only a certain small portion. And I followed those guidelines given. And one of the books here I have here is called Black Rednecks and White Liberals by Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell is perhaps America's greatest intellectual the past 20 or 30 years, last 50 years possibly. An African American economist who has really interacted with sociology and psychology and history and provides unbelievable data-driven empirical approach from an African American perspective on history. And so I use his resources to discuss about slavery and and a little bit more about the early days of America. As he's an African American individual, so he brings a empirical, data-driven approach to it, and I wanted to provide you guys with that. I would highly recommend it. He has anything that Thomas Sowell has written is worth reading. I do mean that anything. He is one of the most brilliant men alive, and his reading is so plain and understandable. I highly recommend it. Cracker culture. As you guys will notice, I went through and picked pages out of this book. Just like I did with Albion Seed and Black Rednecks, I went through those books and picked out various pages and phrases throughout the entire book to make you guys, to give you guys the best. Now, I may have picked one quote or one phrase out of there, but it probably said it 20 times, or emphasized it 20 times. So rather than making you read the entirety of the book, as done in some programs, I tried to limit it down to the information that was a digestible amount. Okay, some other books that I use in this class. Dying to Live by Aaron Merritt Hill. Probably the best resource, or the best individual, not resource necessarily, the best individual that can provide an understanding of the holiness beliefs. And we're going to talk more about why that's important another time, another little lecture, mini lecture. But A.M. Hill if he is the guy we look to for understanding what the holiness movement believed, and his lifetime span, that he knew Charles Finney in person, prayed with him, met with him, and discussed theology of holiness in person. And his lifetime span, Phineas Bresee, and established worked as a president of the college and the Nazarene Church, etc. He also had some interaction with God's Bible School and College, and has written some stuff with Martin Wells Knapp. I've got a little more research to do to give you some more interaction with that. But I will just leave it as that saying he had a lot of interaction, was very intricately worked with Martin Wells Knapp and God's Bible School and College. J.A. Woods, Mistakes Respecting Christian Holiness. This is another excellent book that Shmuel has republished, discussing some of the confusion, or not confusion, but errors that people have tried to use and to use to clarify, and what those beliefs are. And again, I'm going to go into another lecture why that's so important, but I'll just give this little blurb here. Two things: we are a Christian school, and we are a holiness school, part of the conservative holiness movement. And so, learning American history, it would be I would not be doing my job if I did not teach you the holiness heritage that we have in the United States at the same that traces throughout American history. The second part of that is our holiness heritage is as rich and full as any heritage there is in the United States. Our forefathers, the holiness individuals, perhaps had the greatest impact on America of any group other than our founding fathers, and perhaps the Puritans. So there's the Puritans, our founding fathers who wrote the Constitution, and then the holiness people who they impacted our nation more than any other group of people. So it's not just I'm giving them to you because it's who we are. It's also something that should be taught in every history class, is understanding how these beliefs impacted and changed America. Exploring Christian Holiness. It's a historical book that traces holiness throughout 2,000 years. I use that as well, talking about Adam Clarke and his beliefs. Alright, one other book I use here, John Wesley, A Plain Account of Christian Perfection, understanding just in general sin, the interactions of holiness, and the beliefs of Methodism, because Methodism was the most powerful force in early American history. And that is something we will discuss again at another point in time. But Methodism, you need to know, we are Methodists today. We are old-time Methodists. Okay, we are American holiness people. Okay, that is what this college is. It's called God's Bible School and College. It was founded by Martin Wells Knapp for that purpose. But that is what John Wesley that's why I give you some reading for that, because it's important to know his beliefs and interactions. All right. So now moving over here to my handy little table. Some other resources that could be helpful, and I'm going to go through a little more rapidly here because I know this is probably, you're going to get lengthy, and you're going to be like, okay, why is he talking about a whole bunch of books here, and what does it matter? You know, it doesn't, but it does. I just want to give you guys an example of a few resources that are available. The sociology of religious movements. Okay, understanding the interactions with society, religion, and culture and history. Okay, by Williamson Bainbridge, excellent book. And I'll just read you the paragraph here. The Anglican Church gave birth to Methodism, which in turn spawned the Holiness Movement. Okay, that right there comes concepts like that. Williamson Bainbridge is the director of the sociology program at the National Science Foundation. This is not written by a holiness man or a holiness minister. This is written by a high-level academic scholar, the director of the sociology at the National Science Foundation. So, I mean, this is